Namaste, my dear precious friends, my company secretaries, my future professionals and my future countrymen who is going to serve not only their homes, their houses, their families, but also the family at large, that is the entire society, the entire country, and for that example I must say the entire world. Friends, a very, very happy new year to all of you. You must believe me how much I wait to get in touch with you through this precious you webinars. It's so close to my heart, and when I see so many people writing to me talking about it, mentioning that how you have been able to get the pearls, even a bit of it from these programs, it makes me really overwhelmed. I'm indebted to all of you for the love, the warmth, the affection that you have showered on me. I think this is the choicest blessings of the Almighty that is falling on me. I really feel blessed, I must say that. Yes, as a president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, this is my penultimate talk because you must be aware that from the 19th of January, this month itself, the Vice President will of course take over as the President of ICSI. But my connect with you, my love for you is definitely going to become stronger and stronger, and we will be in constant touch in whatever mode possible. Friends, having said so, I think when a new year comes, every time on the 31st of December or on the 1st of January, we resolve, and we firmly resolve all the time, that we are going to do certain things which would be much above your desires and your prefix destinations. When I say much more is because we go and stretch ourselves. At times we may see that my goal is just about 2 kilometers from here, but in our farthest of dreams, we always dream that I wish my goal post could have been 20 kilometers from here. That is the wish that I want you to really cherish, nurture, and make sure that by the time you reach that 20-kilometer goal post, that goal post also gets shifted and goes farther than about 30-35 kilometers. Why am I saying this? Because that's been the general tendency of all of us. When we are short-sighted, when we do not have a vision, or when we are not able to think as per our capacity, not only the capacity that you see at that point in time, but the inherent capacity that we have as a human being, and top of it, you are pursuing company secretaryship. So you are not an ordinary man anyways. But that potential we are not able to capture, and we are not even able to measure. Friends, I have always said that in our lives, there are always two tangents, One is the tangent which is close to the hope for success, and the other is a tangent which is very close to the fear of failure. Now, it is up to us that which is the tangent that we choose for ourselves, the hope for success or the fear of failure. If you see any sportsman, or if you see any person who has really reached the pinnacle of their lives, you will see that at one point in time they must have felt that, hey, this is not my cup of tea. Oh, this is something which I can't do it. If somebody has come first in his college, I am not made for it. I am good at being a mediocre student, but I am very happy with what I am. But if you see the film Dangal, I think that has really posed as a great example in front of us. I am sure you all must have seen Dangal. In that film, if you see those two children, those two sisters, unless they really got from inside that yes, they can do it, and they felt that we don't need a push to do that, it is from within that we've got that power, that unleashed power has to be shown from within, that yes, this is something which we can do it, and come may what, we are going to do it. That film has given us a great panorama of things, of thoughts, which actually shows the power of inner self. It is only you or me who can stop yourself or myself. There is no other power in the universe which can actually stop us. I'm not talking of the cosmic power, the godly power, of course not. But God resides in ourselves, And he always says, the Almighty has always said that if you really want help and support from me, God has said that God helps those who help themselves. So it's actually time. And I think the world is churning today. You should be so lucky that you are born at this point in time. Our country is independent. Imagine if you were born in the pre-independence era of India, or imagine if you were born and you've grown big in times when there were riots and there were floods and there was famine and drought. You are so lucky that you are born in a healthy country. You are born in a country which is really looking up. You are born in a country and you are now young, and you are seeing a country which is up and up in the levels of governance, where we see that so many opportunities is coming by because of the vibrant functioning of the government of India. And not even today, all the successive governments has done very well for the country. So we are in a democratic country, in a free country, and you are very lucky that you have a free will. Even if we are born in a free country, how many of us have families which actually support us, which allows us to think freely, follow your dreams freely? I think we are all very lucky in those terms, because our parents have supported our education. Our parents have made sure that even if we are girls and we are of the fairer gender, we still study, go out of our houses, follow our dreams, and make sure that we become independent. And when I say independent, I really have my own thoughts on that, because now we are somewhere getting confused with interdependence and independence. I know the words are very distinct. There is no confusion with regard to the meaning. But I am sure that there is a confusion with regard to the connotation of the two words. And if you ask me, not only as a president, but even as a human being, and when I say this, I say it with all responsibility, that it is good that we live in an intertwined and interdependent society. It is bad if we live in a completely independent society. And when I say this, I mean that where people start only thinking about themselves and they are more self-centric, that is the society and that is the person or human being or a company secretary that we are really not looking for. A company secretary, why is the course designed in such a way that we give you a holistic environment to grow? And when I say holistic environment to grow, I mean you look at the subjects. Just close your eyes for a while and think that why is it that we are taught governance and ethics? That's a subject which need not be taught, ma'am. We've done this in schools, we've done this in civics, and even our school and parents have taught us how to be well governed, how to say the truth. Truth is better than a lie. And all those words of wisdom has been given to us from the age 0. Why is it, can a subject like this can be taught? Yes, friends, your questions that you may be having in your mind are quite right. But we made sure that our course is so well laden with all the ingredients of you becoming a complete human being. And a company secretary is known as a conscience keeper of the company. Is a company secretary in terms of yesteryears used to be known as the gatekeepers of the company. Now, don't underestimate the term when I say gatekeepers or when I say conscience keepers. You may feel that, ma'am, these are fancy terms. These are terms used to attract the government and the corporate. But let me tell you, the corporate sector is one of the most intelligent sector. You're all aware because of varied reasons that we know. I'm not getting into it. So, if they are employing the services of a company secretary, they know the worth of it. Nothing, believe you me, nothing can force a corporate to use the services of a company secretary apart from whatever is there in the section of the KMP. That I don't disagree. But are we only looking at the statutory recognition of a company secretary by way of the Companies Act 2013, or are we willing to look beyond? That's the question, and that's the limited question that the institute has been thinking on, and we request the members also to think on. Only when we serve the society and we prove our worth, that is the only time when we can look beyond, when our services will be used beyond, and that's already happening. A company secretary is also drawing salaries which is in crores and crores of rupees. They also get stock options, they have access to stock option schemes. They are getting sweat equity, and they are becoming executive directors, whole-time directors, managing directors, and even owners of companies, which is not only employing other professionals but also company secretaries. Such is the strength of this profession. It is only up to us whether we see the glass half full or we see the glass half empty. The beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Friends, I have sometimes, the students ask me that, ma'am, is this a wholesome degree? Is this degree good enough, or do you think it's a supplemental degree? Friends, most of us have done company secretaryship alone, and we are not only earning the bread for the family but also the butter. And I'm saying this on a very serious note, that company secretary is not quite, I think the word should not be used here as quite. Company secretary is a wholesome degree. Company secretary can give you whatever you want from life. But yes, let me put a caveat, and this caveat is applicable for all degrees, and that is initially 3 years, maximum 3 years, is the gestation period in whatever profession that you look for. And most of the time we have seen that output is equal to the input. So the more you work on yourself, the more you start learning, the more you do the field work, the more you become a better person, not only as a human being but also as a professional. Now, when I sit in the interview boards of various corporates and even government organizations, at times, I'll not be dishonest, at times when I see a company secretary, a fresher maybe, or at times, maybe even a non-fresher, I feel that we have not been able to bring out the best from you. The kind of dressing sense that we have when we go for an interview, the kind of body language that we project or emanate from ourselves, the kind of art that we have in handling tough questions and even the easy questions, and the little knowledge that we have about the economy on the whole and even the political arena of our country is so low that at times I feel that how is it that I'm going to teach you how to read the newspapers? How is it that I teach you to dress appropriately when you're going even for an interview? And how is it that I teach you how to handle questions? I think that's an art which you already know, but we become so casual when we go ourselves with ourselves that we lose that sheen and the shine, because we feel, oh, we are carrying the degree of CS and that's enough a passport to get into any country. But friends, actually in the real life things just doesn't work that way. Company secretary is of course a nomenclature, the CS that the institute gives you, but beyond that whatever you earn is your own earning, and you do it on the basis of your wherewithal and the basis of your inputs that you put on yourself. Let me be very honest. Number one, you have to learn how to read financial statements. You have to learn how to read a balance sheet, for example. What does the terminologies in the balance sheet speak about? How to understand the facts and the figures which is laden in the balance sheet, profit and loss account. When I say balance sheet, I mean the financial statements. How to read the notes on accounts. What is it that the notes on accounts is trying to tell about the company's working, about the financial health of the company, and even how to understand the future of that company from studying 3-4 years balance sheet. Friends, finance is the lifeblood of any organization. Everything else is definitely absolutely important at par with finance, but we do understand that finance is also very important and very, very important. So we cannot underestimate the subjects like accountancy, taxation, costing, or for that matter, a simple accounts. Friends, I have felt that a lot of people come to company secretaryship course because they feel that there is less number of papers which deals with practical subjects. But that's not true. The practical subjects are there, and even if you feel that they are not sufficiently there or not sufficiently covered, but it's only we are trying to cheat with ourselves, because you may pass your examinations by doing a note study, by maybe going to a class where they are reducing your textbook of about 300 pages to about 60 pages, and you feel that okay, it's just that 60 pages that I have to read, So that's a very choosy study that I do, and I'll make sure that I crack the examinations. You may crack the examinations of CS, but how will you crack the examinations of life, of your own growth? So that's a big question mark that hangs and looms large in your mind, and the only solution provider is you yourself. Secondly, I've also felt that as a company secretary, we are very happy in our own environment, in our own world. We live in our limited kind of a world. If I ask you what's happening in UP today, what's happening in the polity of UP? Okay, what's happening in, for example, in Dubai? Okay, what's happening in Singapore? Why is it that Singapore is in the ease of doing business, doing so well? And why is it that, and what is it that you feel Insolvency and the Bankruptcy Code 2016 is going to bring to India in terms of ease of doing business? These are the few questions that does rounds when you're sitting for an interview. And that is the time I've seen that we fall flat. There is no reason of falling flat. It's just that, that yellow colored newspaper, that is a business newspaper, which you have to just pick it up early morning, and you have to just maybe spend about half an hour to see what's happening in the world, leave alone your country. You have to be aware what's happening in Bosnia, what's happening with the cricket, and what's happening in the sports, to make sure that you leave a mark in the interviews. Now, you may have a question in your mind that why is it ma'am laying so much of emphasis in other than CS subjects? Please understand that you will be appointed in the position of a KMP. KMP, you know the meaning of the word, it's key managerial personnel. Key managerial personnel is just in the hierarchy of the organization, is just one step below the board of directors. Now imagine a board of directors, you've met the directors, you know what breed they are. Do you think they're only going to question you about Companies Act? They're only going to ask you, hey, what is section 203? Okay, what is CSR all about? Are they only going to ask you what is audit committee's terms of reference? How many independent directors needs to be there in the board, etc., etc.? No, friends. Those are the questions that maybe just having a weightage of about 10, 12, 15% in your entire interview. What they really want to see, that are you an informed person? Are you a person who understands business very well? So are you a person who will be able to take a decision, or who will be able to help the management take a decision? For example, if the company needs a turnaround, if a company needs a restructuring, or if a company wants to go for a big ticket loan size. I'm just giving you an example. I'm throwing examples on you. So the organization is not looking for a pure company law person. The organization is looking for a person who's had the holistic growth in himself. Thirdly, friends, it's also very important that I do understand very well that everybody do not have the oratory skills. That's fine. Everybody may not have excellent communication skill in terms of writing or in terms of body language. But believe me when I say this, that all these arts can be built in, can be learnt. A person need not be born with these skill sets. Everything can be inculcated once you have the sense of doing it, of achieving it. So having said that, now that you know that these 3-4 ingredients are not very easy to learn. I mean, are not very easy or are not very tough to learn. So therefore, what is it that you should do for yourself? Maybe as a New Year resolution, maybe as a resolution for yourself, leave alone New Year resolution, but as a fresh resolution for yourself, which will take you to the growth path. You resolve that maybe in about 60 days time, I am going to make a presentation in the chapter of ICSI. Whichever chapter is closer to wherever you live, you have a target or have an aim that you should be so much ready, at least with 1 or 2 particular subjects, which is of immense interest to you, and that you would actually give a lecture in one of the sessions organized by one of the managing committees of any chapter that is close to your house. That is the target you should be running with. There are similar ways of writing blogs. Why is it that you need any platform? Just go to internet is the biggest platform in itself. Why don't you start writing blogs? If you start writing blogs with your name, with your photograph, with your profile, and you need not be carrying the degree of CS to write a blog. You are anyways the brand ambassador of ICSI because you are pursuing the CS course. And even though I'm also talking to the fresher members and any other member who's watching the show, that please stretch yourself. If you ask me, what has been, ma'am, what has been that one thing which drives you, or which keeps you on the run, on the treadmill all the time? I've always said to myself that I need to stretch. I've always put the goal in front of me first, that okay, I need to do this, and then I start working backwards as to how I can achieve that. If you see the National Convention of 2016, just pick up the magazine and watch that. All the magazines, I'm sure it's not coming to you because you're a student, but then it's there on the website of ICSI. Who stops you to download and see to it? So, you will see that how we have worked. We have fixed the goals first, and then we said, okay, now what are the steps that we need to take to reach that goal? There are two ways of doing things. One, just dream, dream, dream. I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll become this and I'll become that. That is number one. That is also very important. But if we just keep thinking and do not chart out the ways and means how to do it, it is always said that your dreams will only remain in paper. Now it is up to you what you want to choose for yourself. I get reminded of a short story, where this gentleman, he wanted to project a certain example to the large conglomerate of people who were sitting there, and he just pulled up a note. This is something which is after demonetization, on the lighter side. He pulled out a note from his pocket and he said that, hey, this is a note. Can you recognize this rupee? The person, all of them in the crowd said, yes, sir, we can recognize. So he just then again, stretched his arm and said, who would be interested to take this? So everybody raised their hands that, yes, sir, I'm interested. Yes, sir, I'm interested. Then what he did was, he crushed that note, within his palm and said, after crushing, he again lifted it up and said, who would now be interested to take this note? Everybody in the crowd said, I'm interested. Third, he picked that note, he took that note from his hands, clutches, and then put it under his feet. And with that shoe that he was wearing, he kind of, he crushed that note like anything. It became absolutely dirty. Then he picked it up and again said that who wants this note? And everybody said yes. Everybody said yes. So he gave an example by this and said that how much ever the society churns us, how much ever the society, puts pressure on us, how much ever you feel that because of all that is happening to me, I have lost my value and worth, and that I am just good for nothing. Believe you me, you are absolutely worthy. The worthiness is something which you have to measure for yourself. There is no one in the entire world who is going to say that, hey, you are worthy and therefore come. First and foremost, it is you who have to define your own worthiness. Friends, there is this, there is this elephant example where it is said that when the elephant is a baby, his legs are tied up with an iron chain, and years goes by, that elephant grows, and he still feels that his circle of movement is just about 1/10 diameter around him, because he feels that the chains are still tied on his legs. Whereas he's a mighty elephant, the chains have got much before it has not been tied up anymore. But because his brain has been telling him that, hey, I'm tied up, so I cannot move beyond this, limits his movement and therefore limits his capacities. Do we want to become like that, or do we want to become like this, donkey? This donkey fell in the well, and this donkey belonged to a person. So when the donkey fell in the well, that donkey kept on making sounds and wanted to attract the owner to the well so that the owner can come and with the help of the villagers could pull him out of the well. So the donkey kept on howling, kept on making big sounds, large noisy sounds, and ultimately the owner, who was away from the village, he realized when he was getting closer to his house, that it is his donkey who's calling the sounds. So the villager went near the well and he saw the donkey which has fallen in the well. The villager thought to himself, this donkey has already become very old, and really nothing that I derive from the donkey anymore. So let it be, because the villagers will anyways not help me for this donkey because this donkey is very old. So he really did not do much. But the donkey did not lose hope. He kept on howling, he kept on shouting. So the entire village was quite disturbed because it was for a number of hours that these sounds were coming and nobody was able to sit with peace. So quite a number of villagers came to that man and said, "What should we do?" So the person, the owner of the donkey, said, "Let us put mud, okay, let us put loads of mud, because this well was obviously a dried well." So they said, let us put loads of mud so that the growling sound of the donkey is no more coming out, because under the pressure of that mud, the donkey will get submerged and will die. Now you need to hear what happened. They started pouring the mud afterward. Shovels of mud started pouring into the well. One shot, the donkey felt, "Oh my God, what is happening? Now what do I do?" But the donkey did not give up. What he did, the moment one shovel of mud used to fall on his body, he used to shake his body like this. He used to shake his body and, rub off the mud, and therefore the mud was not, he was not getting submerged in the mud, but the mud was falling a base for him. So he started lifting himself inch by inch. Imagine, the mud used to fall on him, he used to get hurt, and then he used to shake his body because he thought to himself that nothing can kill me. I will come out of this and I'll make this mud as a conduit of making sure that I come out of the well. If this mud is here to kill me, I'll make sure that this mud becomes a helping thing for me to come out of the well. Shovels after shovels, it kept on happening. He kept on enduring the big pain that he was getting in his body. He used to shake his body, let the mud settle down below him, and he got himself lifted and lifted and lifted. And finally, he came out of the well. This is enough to tell us that nobody has a rosy platform ready for themselves. Even if we feel that some people are born with a silver or a golden spoon and they get everything ready-made, look around yourself. Hardly. Everybody has to fight for himself, and the survival strategy is very, very clear these days. Survival of the fittest, survival of the fastest, and survival of a person who is very agile. So for agility, it's very important that we keep our doors and windows very open. We let the fresh air come in. We become very much, we get ourselves geared up with very much with the changing times. Friends, never think, when you look at your seniors, or when you, I'm sure you know the story of your own parents, even look at your parents and your joint families, etc. You'll always see that everybody has grown with a lot of pain in their lives, and out of that pain they derived a lot of pleasure also, because the charm and the well-being of thinking that I am a self-made man is humongous. So keep your eyes absolutely static on your goal, and whatever you have to do to reach the goal, and when I say whatever, I do not mean that you should be just ill-governed and you should go out of the way to reach your goal post. Absolutely no. You should only move forward with all the governance that has been taught to you. Believe me that there is no shortcuts to success. Imagine you sow a seed, okay, and you don't allow that seed to grow. Just after maybe about a year, you want that, or less than a year, you want to just pull out that seed, okay, or you want to just pull out the seed because it is not growing, and you feel, let me pull that out and sow it in some other soil, and I'm sure that seed will grow. That is number one situation. Number two situation is, you don't even want to wait for that 1 year. You start feeling that this seed or this land is good for nothing, and that, look at the other seeds which is doing so well, but you are not recognizing that may not be a seed, but that may be a weed. So you're not making the difference between a seed and a weed. You know what happens to a weed, and we also know what happens to a seed. But Seed can only grow into a sapling and then into a plant and then a tree when you have to give it that time for it to grow. So the right kind of manure, the right water, the right sunlight, and the right kind of fertilizers that goes into the soil and the seed only enables the seed to grow into a healthy sapling, and of course after that all the process of growth is there. But that period, that gestation period of 1 year, 2 year, whatever, that has to be given to that seed for it to grow. The limited point that I'm trying to give to all of you, my dear friends, is that you are the future not only for yourselves but for the society at large. You are a responsible person. You are a person you've been very lucky to have the best of the education. Never underestimate yourselves. There are so many people in the Institute's history who may have come from non-English background. There is a fear, psychosis, which does rounds in our mind that, hey, I'm not good in English. Probably will I be able to survive the corporate life or maybe the practicing life as a company secretary, or be it whatever. You look around yourself. There are many such people, many numbers who have done extremely well even if they are not from the English background. So nothing can be a deterrent. But having said so, English language learning is not a very tough deal. If we always know that something is stopping my growth, you should be the first person to make sure that at least the known enemy of yours, the known hindrance of yours is actually moved out of your way. When you know that this particular thing is not helping me to grow, so what stops you to get that for yourself? So for example, if you feel that my health is not keeping fine, I'm quite an obese person, and because of obesity I'm not being able to give my 100% energy into my work. So what would you normally do? You would actually go forward and make sure that you become a healthy person, and you will try to shed the extra kilos that you have. As simple as that. So get into the groove, friends. Must tell you that the Institute of Company Secretaries is always at your service. The kind of laws that has come to the country, government would obviously, our government are policy makers. So they come out with the broad framework, with the broad contours under which the society is guided to work. But who are the people who is going to make sure that these laws are actually followed by people? And who are the persons who will guide not only the corporates but even the non-corporate sector to make sure that the law is followed, and the objectivity of not only the law but even the people for whose benefit it is made, they derive that benefit from those laws. It is people like you and me and the several other professionals in the country who will be doing that. We are very precious to the government of India. It is only us that will have to make sure that the brand ICSI that we are carrying should not be traded off with anything else which is substandard. We'll have to make sure that we raise the slogan of governance all the time. You can either cut the hen at one time, or you make sure that the chicks out of that hen comes year after year. And it can only happen when the hen is alive, right? And when the hen is healthy. Make sure that you are alive, and when I say alive, I don't mean the physical sense of alive. I mean that you're alive in all your senses with all governance levels intact, and make sure that you tread the path of your life with complete wisdom and with complete clarity. I wish all success to all of you. I know it has been a tough journey in becoming a company secretary. Most of us are on the verge of acquiring the degree. Most of us would be probably in the final stages or intermediate stages, that is executive or professional, and most of us are already professionals there. I have always felt that it's very important to dream big, and it is equally important to make sure that we get closer to our dreams inch by inch. And in having so, never let us trade off the peace of our mind, because when we lose the peace of our mind, when we start looking at our families as just a stepping stone which we use it when we want, and when we discard it when we don't want, because probably we have grown over a period of time and then we feel, hey, I don't want the support of my parents or my grandparents anymore. I don't need these value systems anymore. I'm grown, I'm a big and a rich man. That is the time when we have made sure that doom comes in our lives. Sooner or later, we fall apart. So never trade off your values, your family, your peace of mind for anything that may show you big results in no time. There is a Chinese proverb which says that if a vase, which is a very good vase, is being sold to you at a much lesser price, look for the defect in it. And if somebody is offering you too lucrative a thing, look for the misgovernance in it. So you should be very, very careful, because your signature is something which carries your identity. So make sure that before signing as a company secretary, or before even opening your mouth as a student company secretary, you have to remember always that you are the brand ambassador of ICSI. I am the chairperson of the disciplinary committee of ICSI, and have felt that many company secretaries fall prey in the hands of gullible businessmen, or maybe in the hands of even other co-professionals. And when it comes to disciplinary as a hearing, etc., that is the time they realize the pain that they are going through in the entire process, and they feel, why did I trade off my goodwill for that short amount, or for maybe not even monetary terms, just for expressing my thankfulness to somebody else. I have just signed it because you felt that he's a friend of mine, or you felt that how does a sign matter? It is okay if I just certify that form. And that is a time when you go through that pain, you realize that I should have been extra vigilant. Friends, these days the country is in the digital path. We know that every document in the country that's getting signed by the hands of a company secretary is getting captured in one system or the other. We have to be extra careful when you are signing as a company secretary, because it's like a blank check, that you're signing and giving it to somebody else. That could be you don't know where it could be used, misused, or properly used. But if you have done your due diligence well, then there is no point of fear at all. We will always be by your side. ICSI is highly indebted to this precious you family, which has grown over a period of time. And when I say grown, I really don't mean in terms of numbers, because number is just a number. But the warmth and the affection that gets emanated from my precious you is very much high in value. I think it's priceless and valueless. I can't even put a tag for that. ICSI is committed for bringing excellence to all of you. And if you ever feel that something really needs a do, or something really needs a relook, we would be more than happy to do it. You may keep writing at any of the email IDs that is there in the institute. president@icsi.edu will obviously be operational, and the new president will obviously look at it. And I am always there at your service, and for all the love that you have given to me, up to my deathbed, I'll carry that with me. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.